Could the rumor be true that Mark Zuckerberg is quitting Facebook and Meta? In any case, what could be the reason behind this? Stay tuned to know more about it, but before we get into the video, if you are new here, please press the bell button to stay up to date. And hold on tight because we are going on a little journey to why is Mark Zuckerberg quitting Facebook and Meta. Meta Platforms, the Facebook-owned company, is perhaps the company that has received the most attention in the metaverse. Since then, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg has made the metaverse a favorite talking point in his earnings calls. He spent a considerable amount of time describing how the metaverse fits into Meta's broader business model. According to Meta's earnings report for the fourth quarter, the company expects its Reality Labs division to lose $10 billion in 2021 on just $2.3 billion in revenue. It's clear that Reality Labs isn't adverse to throwing money at the metaverse market, but it's also clear that the business is a huge money pit right now. With its 2014 acquisition of Oculus, Meta acquired the #1 virtual reality headset maker today, giving it an advantage in a critical component of the metaverse. So, is Zuckerberg leaving Facebook and Meta? Nowadays, it seems that everyone wants someone to lose their job. For instance, telling to get rid of Joe Rogan. That's just not fair. This is because, unfortunately, all work to earn a living. No matter how miserable, unqualified, or obnoxious you believe someone else to be, it isn't civil to demand they lose their income. Certainly, some are so grotesquely irritating, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump, and Stephen A. Smith come to mind that canceling them seems justified, but it's still wrong. Due to this, me urging Mark Zuckerberg to resign from Facebook with great reluctance and a heavy heart. But did you know that many Netzians are urging Zuckerberg to resign immediately? And unlike Tom Brady, he must promise never to return. According to them, Mr. Zuckerberg needs to resign for the sake of the millions of Meta shareholders. But what could be the reason for this? If you have some ideas about it, we are so glad to read that in the comments section. And also, don't forget to like and share this video as well. Indeed, Zuckerberg should be credited for creating a technological colossus that rivals the greatest corporations of all time. Zuckerberg, according to these people, has demonstrated himself as an astute leader whose company is the world's most popular social network with 2 billion daily users, and saying he's done. And this is because spending $10 billion in the metaverse of augmented and virtual reality, Meta announced in early February that its quarterly profits had dropped 8% year over year, after slowing growth and strong competition from TikTok. Then, a 23% loss in Meta's shares wiped out $240 billion of the company's value in one day. This has been the case since Meta's unfortunate earnings announcement. Meanwhile, it is believed that because of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, Zuckerberg isn't solely responsible for Meta's current problems and stock market decline. Then, due to the following reasons, Mark Zuckerberg has grown incompetent at managing the company he founded. Also, he's pretty bad at PR. Despite the demands for effective PR and positive communications, it is said that Mark Zuckerberg remains the company's worst public voice spokesman. But why is this so? The first is that he doesn't enjoy public attention. Also, it is rare for him to speak to media or investors. Despite years of media training, he still feels uncomfortable answering preening gas bags questions during his infrequent appearances before Congress. Another is Mr. Zuckerberg does not seem to be a good role model for the rest of us, as some other CEOs and politicians do. According to him, the company is a force for social good, and its biggest problem is controlling the narrative instead of reevaluating its strategies or programs. Third, Meta's plethora of public problems requires aggressive public relations responses. Despite their size, some companies can avoid public controversy by staying in the background, but not Meta. With a host of privacy breaches at Cambridge Analytica, allegations of political misinformation, and whistleblower charges of profit over safety, the company desperately needs a CEO able to handle its public relations challenges. This is because he lacks outreach skills. Thus, Mark Zuckerberg isn't the kind of communicator Meta needs to deliver the kind of positive PR Meta needs. In a similar way to Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, for example, Zuckerberg does not like the spotlight, but this is to be expected since he is better at building computer programs than public speaking. Unlike Mr. Bezos, a computer scientist, and Musk, a physicist, when discussing their plans to bring technological innovation to Earth, Zuckerberg lacks this twinkle. In fact, when he has to speak, the Meta CEO comes off as passive, detached, and rather dull. Additionally, a visionary social media executive is expected to communicate the opposite of dullness, and a succession plan is not in place. for a CEO, planning for who takes over after they step down is essential to assure shareholders of continuity. For instance, Steve Jobs' cancer diagnosis in 2009 stunned investors who feared the worst for the company's shareholders. Nonetheless, Tim Cook was in place and ready to succeed Jobs when he finally stepped down a year and a half later. While Meta's deputy CEO SHERYL SANDBERG possesses nearly as much public relations baggage as her benefactor Mark Zuckerberg has acquired for Facebook. Now that the company is in a free fall, there is no one inside to turn it apart from competent PR mogul Nick Clegg, who is capable but not yet ready to be a CEO. So what should Meta do? Meanwhile, Facebook, now Meta, is a company everybody wants. In light of that, it's easy to understand why yesterday's events brought such joy to many people. In just one day, Meta's market cap dropped by $26 billion, or 25%. And this was the biggest drop in market cap for a publicly traded US company in a single day in history. For Zuckerberg, this was the biggest loss of $29 billion. However, what would this mean for the company? How could it have happened? Simply put, Facebook doesn't seem to be popular anymore. For instance, as of 2018, youths in the US and Europe began leaving the platform in droves. At that time, it didn't matter for the bottom line of Facebook since developing markets were adopting the platform faster than Western markets. In its latest earnings report, Facebook revealed that for the first time in its history, it lost daily users. As of the recent situation that happened, Meta wasn't going to make as much money as they forecasted from Facebook. And this news surprised the markets, and most traders hate surprises. This led to the largest market crash in history. So what does the future hold for Facebook? There is no doubt that this is a pivotal moment for Facebook, but what happens in the years to come? Can it recover and pivot into a company that focuses on the metaverse? Can it compete with TikTok? Would it be able to lean into video as Mark Zuckerberg wants it to? Or they choose a standard language for the next 15 years, just as Microsoft did after 2000. It isn't just Facebook's declining popularity that is to blame. This is because it appears that the whole company is facing a lot of controversies. Also, Meta has been under intense pressure from government regulators and other bodies. This is because in the past, various whistleblowers have repeatedly exposed the harm caused to teens by Instagram and Facebook. Meanwhile, many investors are wondering, is now a good time to put my money into speculative tech stocks? It seems the answer is yes, at least for now. Despite this, investors may look elsewhere for greater returns in a couple of years. Can we therefore say that Meta will soon be over? Will Mark Zuckerberg quit Facebook and Meta? Not likely, in my opinion. And what makes me optimistic? This is because in addition to WhatsApp and Instagram, other Meta sub-brands are gaining users. In addition, Meta plans to maximize the use of Reels, a short video format, to bring in more users and generate revenue. As a matter of fact, Facebook already utilizes Reels. Meta's recent crash is most likely simply a stock market overcorrection, and the stock will bounce back fairly quickly. Nevertheless, if the company continues to miss its earnings targets, things may not work out as planned. Even though Meta was worth $1 trillion just a year ago, it is now down 35%. But in the end, it's too soon to draw any conclusions. Your thoughts? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe with post notifications so you don't miss out on Meta news.